board here if we do. We'll crank it, and you can hear the whine as the flywheel spins up and harvests the energy in high brake activation zone 3. Clearly hear the high-pitched whine there from the Audi flywheel. Go on, see it. Jeremy, what? See it when I was talking about the whine from the flywheel.
I said, was there any Formula 1 drivers around?
No, stop it.
I'm a big F1 fan, so...
We're all big F1
Yeah,
fans.
of course we are. Yes,
absolutely.
Indeed.
So a full-on board lap there as we come on to the front straight.
Really cool.
It's so quick though, Jeremy, isn't it? It is so quick around the circuit. Mark Lieb has vacated the seat of the Porsche 911. He's in the pit lane now with Louise Beckett.
Mark, Porsche really suffering here on this circuit. What seems to be the problem?
Well, at the moment, it looks like we can't do double stints like other manufacturers can do, so we are struggling a little bit on older tires, and so we are back to single stints, so we lose some times in the pit lane. Now it's actually quite good. Richard is doing really good lap times on a new set. So, yeah, we just try to fight back, but it's very difficult today.
Thanks.
Thanks, Louise. Very interesting that huge slide by the 92 car with Ricard Leitz, as we've got a yellow flag in the braking area at the end of the back straight, and it's for the number 1 Audi, Ben Treluet. And isn't this amazing? In 2 consecutive races, all of the incidents that have happened to Audi have happened to one car and not the other. Here's Eduardo.
The car spinning at 12, yellow flags are being deployed. You have a spinner at T12, yellow flags are being deployed.
Remarkable, Paul, isn't it? It was the number 2 car at Sao Paulo, and it's the number 1 car here. The difference, of course, in terms of championship implications, is that the number 8 Toyota is still racing and is between the 2 Audis, which in terms of point scoring for the challenge. Oh dear, that was nasty. The back end locked up there, maybe under down change for Ben Treluet in the number 1 car. Let's have a listen. That's what a spinning Audi sounds like from the inside. It's been the number 1 car this time, as I say, but the 8 car is taking points away from it, and that for the championship challenge is crucial.
It is, isn't it? And of course, the Toyota would have finished between the 2 Audis had it have not had that coming together.
Correct.
In Brazil. I mean, it was very unfortunate, and it was lucky in some ways for the number 2 car, despite the fact that it had its problems, that it was able to finish second, remember, after the 2 stop-and-go penalties that it had to serve. But no, I mean, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. I mean, it's far too early to be saying this, but with over 2 hours of the race still to go, but all the problems that have hit Audi this weekend have hit the number 1 car. All the problems that hit Audi 2 weeks ago in Sao Paulo hit the number 2 car.
And I should say that Alan McNish said to me after the race, we'll never be that lucky again and have such a bad race and still get second position. The number 2 car due for a pit stop shortly, and it should, on rotation, I think, be Alan McNish, should it not, that gets into the car. But I've just seen Tom Christensen sitting in the garage, suited and booted. So what tactically is going on here, or is there a problem with Alan McNish? We'll dispatch Shea in a moment to try and find that out, because she's taking a break in here and rehydrating at the moment. But that's an interesting choice. We'll see if that is actually what happens. Jeremy?
Yeah, in GTE Pro, we just saw the number 97 car, Oliver Gavin, a brilliant, I think, double stint there in that car. Where are my notes? Double stint or triple stint? Yeah, double stint for Oliver Gavin. Just handed over to Darren Turner. That car running now 5th place in GTE Pro, and quite a long way behind the other guys. It's still Tony Villander who leads, but only by about 4 seconds from the sister AF Corsa Ferrari, the car number 51 of Giancarlo Fisichella, and then Fred Makovecki is about another 11 seconds or so behind them, waiting for him to come across the line in 3rd place. Yeah, actually less than that now, 9.1 seconds behind Fisichella. So Mako is closing a little bit in 3rd place in that class, and then Ricard Leitz is some way farther back in 4th place.
Yeah, Loic Duval, by my reckoning, currently on his penultimate lap, so he'll be in at the end of lap 121. He's currently on lap 120, up at the far end of the circuit at the moment, and as I say, he's a lap and a half before Loic Duval will be in for his pit stop. And then, as John was saying, we'll see who gets into it next. Still 2 pit stops to go after this one. 3 pit stops still to be made by the leading runners.
Yeah, you're right, Paul, and stunning pace from Loic Duval. I mean, his last half dozen laps: 50.1, 49.9, 51.5, 49.7, 49.0, 49.7 again this time around. So tremendously fast and consistent laps by Loic Duval.
Yeah, thanks to the marvels of Microsoft Excel, the average for the last 13 laps are 1 minute 50.3.
Yeah, stunning.
And that compares to Anthony Davidson, who is at 1 minute 52.3.
Yeah, there you go.
You can pick out individual lap times. You can look at average.
Just to interrupt you there for a moment, Paul.
The gap has gone up over the course of this stint.
Pedro, we saw that Richie had problems with the car, and then you've had to come and park it up. What's happened?
Well, we had a problem with the throttle, and that's why we lost a bit of time. And then afterwards, I had a little touch on the curb, and we had to stop.
So that's your day?
Yeah, that's our day. So it was so far has been not as good as we expected, but we were very fast during the race. Hopefully next race will be better.
Thank you.
Sorry, Paul. That was Luis Beck with Pedro Lamy, in case you didn't recognise the voices. I have to say that I think Duval is not about to be a star. I think he is now a star, and this season he is rapidly becoming one of the top prototype drivers. We've seen him when he's been on the track on his own, being able to qualify and being able to run, as Paul was mentioning, Jeremy, the very, very consistent lap times. He seems to be good in a race situation side by side, which we don't always see in the longer distance races, but when we do, then he has been able to withstand that pressure. He is the full package, isn't he?
No question about it. He is absolutely taken to this team, and you know, we talked about it before earlier in the weekend that Alan McNish and Tom Christensen, they've been together pretty much since 2006, but Loic Duval has really installed himself super well into this, integrated himself into this team, and he's certainly the quick guy out there, no question about that, and consistent as well. And dare we say he doesn't make mistakes? That's the key, isn't it? It's being fast and not making mistakes. That's what wins endurance races.
Hello to everybody at the Velocity Bar, the main grandstand here at the Circuit of the Americas, tuned in and listening and watching a phenomenal motor race as into the pit lane comes the aforementioned Loic Duval. And I can tell by the noise in my right ear that Shay has made it back out in the pit lane after her very quick refueling stop. Shay, are you down there at Audi yet?
I'm walking as fast as I can.
Don't worry.
I could go into a sprint, but...
No, it's undignified. Never run. Never run. Never run in airports or pit lanes. I always think that's a bad thing to do.
Oh, come on. You never have any fun. Well, Loic Duval is getting out of the car, and it does look like Tom Christensen is getting in, which means it is a mix-up in their roster, which puts McNish in for the finale. I wonder if that isn't strategy based off of how competitive the Toyotas have been. You do want to sick the Scotsman on them at the end, don't you think, John?
It's so loud down there, I didn't actually hear what you said. Did you say something about putting the Scotsman back in?
Yes.
Yes. New set of tyres for that Audi, I think, Shay?
Does look like it. They do new tires with every driver change. Audi does fairly consistently. So if I had to put a wager, Rolex on it, I would say yes.
And the lap time, their pit stop times, the last three, well, all their pit stops, 1 minute 23 for the first one, 1:21 for the second one, 1 minute 20 for the third one, 1 minute 19 each for of the last two stops. So again, this Audi team, they're running like clockwork. They're consistent on the track and in the pit lane. That was a great stint, I say, from Loic Duval. And TK, his last stint was super impressive as well. We talked about his lap times. The last 7 or 8 laps of his stint last time are all in the 1 minute 50s and several of them in the low 1 minute 50s. So he's done an excellent job this afternoon for this team.
Good question
and
here.
He keeps the lead on the way out of the pits as well.
Yes,
because,
comfortably.
Anthony Davidson still in sector 2.
This from Adam Prescott. Is the new LMP1 Audi going to be called the R20 Quattro? That's a good question, because the R18 model number has been held for the last couple of iterations of that car. We had the R18 Ultra and then the R18 e-tron Quattro, essentially two very different machines. And the idea was that, much like street cars, that you would keep the R18 as the model number for the racing coupe until a significant change in the car. Well, there are some significant regulation changes next year, but it will still be a coupe. So the answer, Adam, is I don't honestly know. It's a very good question, and one perhaps we can get Wolfgang Ulrich or somebody at Audi to talk to us about the next time we sit down and have a chat with them. Jeremy?
Yeah, the GTE race is interesting as we watch Anthony Davidson come through here. And he is now in the lead, but of course he won't be after his pit stop. Here is the, which car is this? Which one is this? This is the number 24 car, the second place in P2. David Heinemeier Hansen has done a fine double stint in that car.
And Shea's there.
He practically jumped out of the car before it had rolled to a stop. David Heinemeier Hansen getting out of the 24 Oak Racing car, handing over the controls to Olivier Pla. They are just doing a tire change now, giving Olivier new Dunlop tires to go and play on. Full fuel in the car, so they should be good for another 24-odd lap stint, I would venture a guess. Trusters could let me know better. But no work needing to be done on this car, despite the fact that it did come into contact with its teammate about an hour ago. The car is fired back up and back out onto the track.
Slightly shorter stint that time for David Heinemeier Hansen. The previous stint had been 24 laps. This one actually only 19 to hand over to Olivier Pla. It's a bit earlier than they'd anticipated. I wonder why that's a bit early. You might try and find that out, because that might require them to make an additional stop before the end of the race. We've got exactly 2 hours to go in this race, and generally speaking, the Morgan Nissans will be doing about 50 minutes between stints. So that would mean they would have to stop 2 more times, once for a splash.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's some cunning strategy going on at the front of the field as well about back timing and who will do what to whom and when. Let's listen into Toyota number 8.
Gap 31 seconds. Gap 31 seconds to Audi number 2.
That's Mathieu Nanel telling Anthony Davidson 31 seconds. Now that's not enough to get in and out without giving up the lead, not by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but Anthony Davidson now got below the 150s there that time. 149.49 for Anthony Davidson. I think that's the best lap he's done yet, certainly one of them. You know, he's getting toward the end of his stint now, so he does need to turn some good laps and try and hand over the car or come in and make that pit stop and then get out again as quickly as he can and save some time on this pit stop without changing tyres.
Yes, a fuel-only pit stop for the Toyota should be of the order of 52 seconds in the pit lane. Remember, of course, that's time from pit in to pit out, so it takes its place of about 5 seconds of actually being on the track at the same time. But you're absolutely right, John. It's going to be very, very difficult indeed, unless Anthony can lap more quickly than Tom Christensen in the next how many laps is it? 4 laps, which is all he's going to be before he's in. Then we're going to see Tom Christensen taking the lead back again when Anthony Davidson makes his pit stop for probably fuel only.
And I've been doing a bit of sniffing around, and it's the understanding of a number of people well placed within Audi that the R18 tag, name, moniker will remain for all Coupe Sports prototypes. So there's your answer, Adam. That was my understanding as well, but I've done a bit of checking around. Let's have an update on Morgan Oak Racing down in the powered by Nissan pit lane. Is she, Adam?
The 24 had come in after 19 laps for no apparent reason other than the driver, David Hennemeyer-Hansen, was ready to get out of the car and Olivier Pla was ready to get in. With minimum driver times for David, he had already met that, and Olivier was free to go out, so he can go to the end. Alex Brendel, their other co-driver, is already in street, closed the tire, so he most likely will not be getting back in the car. It should be Olivier until the end.
Yeah, but I still think with 2 hours to go, I don't think they can do that on just one more stop. And David was certainly some pretty good laps, so interesting strategy. We'll see how that one pans out, because I'm not expecting the number 26 car, the race leader in P2, in for quite some time yet.
No, I agree with you on that one, Jeremy. The number 26 car not due in until its lap 127. And it's currently on its lap 117, so 10 laps to go yet for the LMP2 leader.
Yeah, it's coming in about over 25 laps, that number 26 car.
You're listening to RadioLeMans.com's commentary team for FIAWEC.com, sound and vision together there, audio at RadioLeMans.com, and our syndicated TV colleagues around the world, as well as here at COTA. And we're moving into the last 2 hours. Indeed, we have just moved into the last 2 hours of round number 5 of the FIA World Endurance Championship. Out of the pits goes the number 51 Pro Ferrari, that's the AF Corsa. Giancarlo Fisichella brought it in and has changed over to Jimmy Bruni to take that car out. The class is led at the moment by Tony Vielander, the team car, with Fred Machiavicki in between the two Ferraris now.
Yeah,
the Aston Martin.
He's been flying along at old Fred Macco once again, and he's taken over second place because of that pit stop, but he was catching up Giancarlo Fisichella. Well, I wouldn't say hand over fist, but you know, basically hand over fist. He pulled about a second a lap on him over the last half a dozen laps. A new fastest lap there, though, at least for that car, for Richard Leeds in car number 92, up into third place in the class. Now he's about a half a minute behind Fred Macco in third place in GTE Pro, but he has yet to make his next pit stop. But I think the number 97 car is going to be struggling. It's out of sequence. He's going to make, I think, have to make one more stop than these other guys now. The GTE Pro cars that come in from now until the end should be able to make it on just one more pit stop.
Austin Browser asking about the pit lane, and was the change made from US to European spec every time? And the answer is no, just overnight last night. We had all the early sessions with that additional wall in, and last night they brought in some forklift trucks and made sure that those concrete blocks were taken away, and therefore everyone had unrestricted access then to the front of their garages. You're listening to RadioLeMans.com coverage powered by Nissan. Jeremy Shaw, John Hindorf, Shea Adam, Jim Roller and Paul Truswell all watching over this 5th round of the FIA World Endurance Championship.
Hear the World Endurance Championship when you want it. Every moment of the season is waiting for you at www.radiolemans.com, the home of endurance racing.
So it's been a fast and frenetic first 4 hours of this 6-hour confrontation here in Austin, Texas, as the World Endurance Championship makes its debut at its new home. We'll be back here next year. The calendar's out. Check it out at FIAWEC.com and start making your travel plans with RadioLeMans.com's travel club partner, Travel Destinations. And we've had a race certainly worthy of this facility. The track very challenging. The heat now, Michelin track temperature up to 40 degrees Celsius, and it's 28.7 in the air. Something over 115 Fahrenheit on the track. As in from 4th position comes the 458 Italia of Enzo Portaliccio. The 8-star bright orange car with the Venezuelan colours down the side.
Here's Anthony Davidson. Expect him in this lap, unless he's been able to stretch out the field, maybe Paul, and do one more lap, but otherwise we'd expect him to come in this time. And his last lap around was a 151.0, lap before that 51.2. Tom Christensen, however, in car number 2, a 1:48.847. So TK can certainly get it done. A great lap from Tom Christensen in second place.
You're choosing your data carefully, Jeremy, because the lap before for Tom Christensen was a 1:52. So he did a 1:48, yes, he did a 1:48.8, and then the one before that was a 1:52. Anthony Davidson, meanwhile, has put in a couple of 49s before those 2:51s. So
yep.
It ebbs and flows, doesn't it, with the traffic? But I just wonder whether, I mean, it's interesting you say this with Anthony, and I just got him due in at the end of that 127, so he has stretched it for one more lap this time, hasn't he? Because he's already gone through, so that's an extra lap on this stint for Anthony. So he has been able to get a bit of a better fuel consumption, and also I just wonder whether he's been trying to look after his tyres, and that was why maybe he didn't lap quite as quickly in those early laps, and now he's having to push on as hard as he can in what do I think? We've established this. It's going to be a vain effort to keep the lead on the pit stop. But he is coming round now, and as I say, probably coming into the pits at the end of this one. But that does mean that the stint is one lap longer for him. It'll be therefore a 26-lap stint for the Toyota. Yeah, it's still advantage Audi, but it's going to be very close indeed, and dependent on everything going smoothly and no safety car. Because the safety car now could really throw the cat into the kitchen.
Very much so. But I fancy Anthony Davidson wasn't so much saving the tyres. I think he was trying to save some fuel in that stint, more so than the tyres, Paul. But other than that, I completely agree with you. 52.2 though last time around for Anthony Davidson, as against a 48.6 again for Tom Christensen. So TK going even faster now.
Down in the powered by Nissan pit lane is Shea Adam. Any activity down at Toyota?
Lots of activity down at Toyota as they get 4 new Michelin tires ready for when the car comes in. It's just now coming through the complex into the pit lane. Should be getting on the pit lane limiter and going in front of you any second now, John, as a matter of fact. But there's been a lot of action down at what I'm going to call Porschelandia, since we have Aston Martin World. Both factory Manthey Porsches have come in, as well as the IMSA Matma performance car, which is second in class. Jean-Carl Vernet has gotten behind the wheel of that car. And as I say that, the Toyota comes in and silently rolls to a stop. Anthony Davidson getting out of the car. Sebastian Buemi getting in. No apparent problems with the pit stop. It's just status quo down here at Toyota.
Thanks, Shane. New set of tyres as well going on that car with the driver change. Welcome to the commentary booth to Alex Brundle. That was an Ironman stint that you did earlier on. Double stint for the tyres, triple stint for you. How are you feeling?
Yep, and obviously originally came on the tyres from qualifying. So yeah, I didn't get many sets of new tyres out there. Tight on budgets down at Oak today.
We had a question. I'm gonna, before we get into talking about the race, because you've been doing some sterling work on GP2 on the international feed lately, so I'm going to put you to work in here. You're not going to come in here and have an easy time. We had a question earlier on. It was prompted by something that a couple of tweets going backwards and forwards with Alex Wirtz actually. You've driven Formula cars, you've driven P2 cars as well. We were talking about the cornering forces that these particular P1 cars are generating through the S's here. It's absolutely unbelievable. Same at Silverstone through Beckett's. In fact, that's an area that looks very similar to the first part of this track. How does that compare in a single-seater to a heavier sports car? Are the forces on your body, the G-forces, more violent? They're the same sort of level, perhaps even sometimes larger, but are the sensations more violent and therefore more tiring in the single-seater or in the sports car?
I think, to be honest, in a sports car, what you've got is that massive aero platform underneath the car. So quite clearly, most of these cars designed originally kind of for Le Mans. So they do two things well. They go very, very fast in a straight line well, and they also go through very, very fast corners a la the Porsche curves very well. So in terms of performance, that's where these cars excel. Where you miss a little bit from a single-seater is in the slow stuff. Sometimes they tend to feel just a wee bit ponderous.
Go down into the pit lane, more with Alex Brundle in a few moments' time. Louise Beckett has Patrick Peely in the pits.
Patrick, you've just come back from your stint. You're working on the car now, just getting laps on the car. Just looking back, tell us about what happened in that driver change when the fire started.
actually, we don't know exactly. It was a refueling problem. We don't know if it's from the car, but it stayed open, the system for refueling. And when you change the wheel, maybe create a spark with the wheel and the fire starts. Unfortunately, the fuel system was still open, so we have to come back to the pit to fix it and restart. So we lose 3 laps. It's sad because the car worked very good, and we can see that the pace during the race is really quick. So, but we're still working for the future, and we keep some data for next race.
So now it's just a case of getting data.
Yeah, it's just to have more experience about the car. We will maybe try some different option with the tires just to see how it works. But now it's just testing.
Thank you.
Louise Beckett down there in the pits with Patrick Pilet. A very upset Patrick Pilet. That could have been even worse. An awful lot of fuel onto the front end of that Porsche, up round about the windscreen and clearly dripping down onto a hot brake disc or something like that when the tyre was taken off. And fire, scary anywhere, particularly in the pit lane. Alex Brundle is with us from the Morgan Oak team. How are you enjoying working with this very French team? It's taken a little bit of getting used to, but you took to them quite quickly when you had a play with them last year when you went out with them.
Yeah, well, you know, I originally came. Yeah, it's almost 1.5 years now, isn't it? That I've been yes, driving with Oak, and I do enjoy spending time with the guys, and I am learning a little bit of French slowly, more than I let on, and but not as much as they'd have me know, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. They're a fantastic team, and we've been really competitive this year. At Le Mans, it was a really sterling job by the guys, and hopefully long may it continue.
Have you put your single-seater career on hold? Are you still looking? Where are your priorities lying? You said to me a couple of years ago now, it is my absolute ambition to be a professional racing driver and therefore get paid for what I do.
Yeah, and that continues to be my ambition.
Car 57 must respect blue flag. Car 57 must respect blue flags.
Yeah, that's long overdue.
Says Alex Brundle somewhat ruefully on the Chrome racing car. So you absolutely want to be a professional racing driver?
Yeah, that is the only goal. And if that's in a single-seater, then great. You know, you see guys like Paul di Resta. We almost forget that he drove a DTM car once upon a time, so it can happen. But right now, focusing on making this my career and my life, and it's going all right so far. I'm enjoying my work here in the WEC with Oak Racing, so yeah, I'm going to keep on pounding on down this route at the moment.
On board with Nick Johnson on the 57 car. I was going to say take us round a lap if we get a moment. Anthony Davidson on the pit wall at the moment. This track, what a challenging piece of tarmac. It's people say it's European-like. There's nothing like this in Europe, is there?
Oh man, the place is incredible. The first sector and the G loading through the first sector is Porsche curves like. Really, really fantastic piece of racetrack. And never have I seen a piece of racetrack so technical as well as being fast. You know, Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, you really attack it. But this just puts the driver absolutely on the edge of grip on several moments during the first sector.
There's a couple of parts of that when I've now driven round the track only for a couple of laps that I realise it's almost like when designing a show jumping course, they deliberately put the fences a stride and a half apart or 2.5 strides apart for the horses, because you're just in exactly the wrong place as you come out of one section of it for where you want to be for the next.
Absolutely. I'm just watching us go wide.
Yes, that is Olivier Plat.
Oh no, that is a...
Easy to do there.
Yeah, but it looks like it's got some kind of suspension issue.
So get another look at that car as it's going down the back straight. This is the second place car.
We did have a wee bit
third place car, excuse me.
We did have a wee bit of contact earlier on in the race with Ricardo Gonzalez up the inside of David Hannemar Hansen. So
that was an interesting move, teammate on teammate for a car that's leading the championship.
Yeah, I've only heard about it so far.
Wait till you see the video.
Oh, really? I was
that and the flying Audi.
Having a physio at the time, haven't seen that either. Yeah, it'd be good to see more of Ollie and see what's going on with him. You kind of caught me short in the com box while my teammates...
Don't worry, we'll get back to it. Fifth place in GTE for the Felbermeyer Proton car. And meantime, there's a battle going on further up the field in GT. This is the 92 Mark Lee driven Porsche 911. This is the new 991 car. 2 of those going to core racing in the United States as a full works entry in Tusk next year, the Tudor United Sports Car Championship. And Manthey bringing out an Evo version of that car before the end of the season, so we're led to believe for the new 2014 version. But at the moment, Darren Turner is hunting him down. Oh, you're spot on. You are spot on, Alex. That's very bad news. Now, that's on the opposite side, though, of the car from where you got hit.
Yeah, so potentially...
Curb hopping?
Not usually from Ollie. I didn't whack anything. David didn't say he whacked anything, so we will see what the issue is.
See Eduardo Freitas.
Got a report of car 24 losing pieces between T15 and T16. Car 24 losing pieces between T15 and T16.
Never a good thing when the race director's telling you that your car's dropping bits. Down in the powered by Nissan pit lane, Adam.
When the 24 came to a stop in its pit box, the left front wheel was not moving at all. I don't think that the problems are only on one side of the car. The back body panel seems to be split on above the left rear wheel. They have already wheeled it back into the garage and they're trying to take the rear body panel off to get to something beneath it. Suspension arms, from what I can see from here, look to all be intact. There is no air gap like the sister car had, but it doesn't look like this will be quickly fixed. I'm sorry to say, Alex. I'm really sorry.
Well, as you might imagine, Alex has hot-footed back to the paddock to try and find out what the issue has been. In the meantime, we've got an Aston Martin with suspension problems, and that's the number 97 car, which is not travelling at speed either. And this is the car of Darren Turner, who had been chasing down the Porsche just a few moments ago, and it's a right front suspension. He's hit something, and the bottom suspension link is given out on that car as well, rubbing against the front bodywork as he came into the braking area. He did try and get out of everybody else's way, but that is damage to the bottom suspension arms. And the quarter track Jim Roller, who rejoins us here on RadioLeMans.com and our powered by Nissan coverage of the FIA WEC 5th round. This track beginning to show the teeth that we thought it might. We knew heat was going to be a problem. We knew fatigue was going to be a problem. We thought that would be with the drivers, but clearly it's taking its toll on the machinery as well.
The curbs here are not to be trifled with. Those diamond or pyramid points at the apex of every corner will mess you up, and if you get a little too close to them, if you cut the knife edge just a little too closely, it will cause you a problem. Now, I don't know that Darren, that's what has happened to Darren, but we have seen a couple cars already today have problems with those pyramids that are at the apexes of the corners. This car has struggled a bit throughout the day. It has not been as competitive as they would hope. It has just nipped at the top 4, top 3. It's never really been able to get up there and really contend for the lead as the team, I'm sure, had hoped, and certainly we all expected, given the driver lineup that's in that car.
And let's not forget, this is Darren Turner leading the championship as well,
yes,
of course.
Yeah.
So we have 2 championship contenders in different categories in the pit lane at the moment. The P2 leading car having dropped down after their issues. This now the championship leading 97 car for Darren Turner. And Shea Adam is still down in the pit lane. Let's take an update from her. I hear air jacks going on. Are you still down at Oak?
I am. They have taken off every body panel they can on this car. They have 4 new suspension sets out in the back, so something is going to be changed on this car. They're focusing mainly on the right rear at the moment, but a mechanic moments ago got up and looked under the front left to see why the wheel hadn't been spinning. They decided on a new nose cone to begin with. So that is the start of their fixing of this problem.
Thanks, Shea. Darren Turner is walking away.
Both hands on his head.
That may be the end of that car's championship challenge, because with just 5 points between the top 3 sets of drivers in that championship, and the Porsche guys, of course, right up there. Lieben leads the 92 car. And who else is in that fight, Grim? It's the 51, of course it is. Thank you, Jimmy Bruner. Interestingly, all 3 of them not having the best of runs today, but the 51 and the 91 still running, the 92 rather, still running, whereas the 97 FIA is going to be retired. Tony Vielander brings in the 71 car from the Ferrari from second place in the GTE Pro ranks. Let's go down to Aston Martin world. Shea Adam is looking at a stationary Aston Martin. Let's see if we can pick up what went wrong. The Porsche shaves the curbing pyramid, and Darren Turner, I'm afraid, hit it, and that was the start of the problems. Is that car even being worked on at the moment, Shea?
It's not even being looked at, unfortunately. It sits next to its abandoned brother, the 98. Both cars with doors closed, no mechanics nearby, no drivers around. Nothing that they can do.
I'm not sure it would be the right thing to put a microphone under Darren Turner's nose at the moment, but that has massive championship implications. Fred McAvicki and Bruno Senna, the top-placed Aston Martin at the moment. This will do their championship challenge no harm, but they're a long way back in that championship. Oh my goodness
Tracy
me.
Krohn.
It's Nick Johnson, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, at the wheel of that car.
Change, sorry.
And
sorry, Tracy.
Turn number 8, and now that car is pointing in the right direction, but not going forward. So, has he had a spin, or has the car come to a halt? Here's Eduardo.
We have car 57 stopped on track. Yellow flags are being deployed at T7, T8. 57 is stopped on track, driver's right-hand side, between T7 and T8. Yellow flags are being deployed there.
And Nick Johnson gets going again, as we've been joined by Graham Goodwin, editor of dailysportscar.com. Graham, drama in the last half an hour for P2 and the GTE Pro categories. Let's talk about Oak Racing first, in the unbelievable move by Gonzalez on his teammate that has massive championship implications there.
Yeah, I think they may have just chucked away the championship lead right there. And the 35 car was leading that comfortably, and it looks to me at the moment to be PCOM's championship lead to take to the next round.
And in the GTE Pro category, Aston Martin, again self-inflicted, I'm afraid, a rare mistake by Darren Turner.
Didn't Darren's expression in the pit garage say it all? Walked around the car, hands over his head, knowing full well that was game over in terms of a big points haul. What we've got to see now is which of the two nearest challengers to Darren and Stefan Mucker can actually take the championship lead, because there was just 5 points between them. Mark Lieb and Richard Lietz just 2 points behind, and then a further 3 points back from them. Bruni and Fisichella in the 51 Ferrari. Now there's what, 12-15 points for grabs here.
Let's go to Anthony Davidson with Louise. We'll come back to this in just a moment as the number 1 Audi's in.
Anthony, you've made it back to the pits. Can Sebastian catch the number 2 Audi?
I have to wait and see. It's been a pretty good race. We didn't expect to be as close as we are. It seems like they've picked up a bit of speed and possibly changed their strategy. They certainly kept their faster drivers in the car, so he must have been giving them a bit of pressure. But yeah, when I went out there, I had really limited running this week, so without qualifying yesterday and just jumping straight in the car against Duval that had done 3 stints already was really tough. So it took me about, well, a good 10 laps to really get up to my speed, and by that point I'd lost a bit of time to them. It was to be expected, really, but it's what you get when you come to a brand new circuit with 3 drivers for a 6-hour event. So and the rain that we had as well didn't help, but yeah, that's racing, and I think we're still in the fight. But yeah, Seb's doing a good job, but ultimately we're not fast enough. But I think we've been pretty brave on our strategy. Double stinting from the word go. I think it's testament to all of our fitness as well, that we weren't scared off by the heat here and stayed in the car and trusted the tyres. And I think, yeah, we really understood our strategy well, and that's really what's kept us in the fight.
So we can expect to see Seb there till the end?
I hope so. He's in big trouble if he comes in, I tell you.
Fingers crossed for you.
Louise Beckett in the pit lane with Anthony Davidson. Let's get back to this points position in the GTE Pro category. There's only one ray of light for Darren Turner and Stefan Mucker, is that their major rivals aren't right at the sharp end of what's going on. They're not winning and coming second, at least. They're at the moment in third and fourth position. And if it ended now, Graham, what would that mean?
Well, that would mean, amazingly, John, is that the Ferrari crew and the Porsche crew would be on equal points in the Drivers' Championships and 10 points ahead of the Aston Martin. The bad news, though, for Aston Martin is the next target for the 51 car, and being caught quickly at the moment, is the sister car, the 71 Ferrari. Wonder what might happen there. That gap closing rapidly, and in fact Jimmy Bruni's just put in the fastest time of that car's race, which must be amongst the fastest times of any GTE Pro car, 2:04.487. He closes the gap to under 19 seconds now to Tony Villander, currently lying second place in GTE Pro. That, of course, would be an additional 3 points to the good for the 51 car should they take that position.
The number 1 Audi has clearly pulled the script that the number 2 car had in Sao Paulo. Have a listen to this.
Decision number 12, car number 1, drive-through penalty for abusing the track limits with advantage.
Race director Eduardo Freitas. The stewards have sat, the decision has been made, and that advantage of going round the outside of 2 cars into turn number 19 and not joining till the turning point of turn 20 has been ruled on, and abuse of track limits and taking an advantage, a drive-through penalty for the number 1 car.
Fair enough. I thought we'd see the Toyota do that as well. Am I wrong?
Nick Johnson having a torrid time at the moment. I thought we were going to get a word from Eduardo there, but clearly not. So, Graham, with 3 rounds to come after this, then the GTE Pro battle is still nice and tight, whatever happens.
And actually, all 3 manufacturers as well, John. We came into Brazil last time around with Porsche, courtesy that double points gain at the Le Mans 24 Hours, the lead in all 3 championships. That's for manufacturers, teams, and drivers. They came here and not leading any of them, and it could change again.
Thank you, Graham. We'll have another word with Graham before the end. David Ennemar Hansen is down in the pit lane with Louise Beckett.
David, we saw earlier on you battling with the 35 and there was contact. Was that damage from that?
It's hard to know. I mean, in racing, everything can happen. It was a pretty hard hit, but when I first drove off, it seemed like the car was fine. And I thought we just miraculously escaped any injury. And I went on with my stint. Olivia goes out and we had a problem. So who knows if it's from that or from something else, but it's really too bad. We had an absolutely excellent car that could fight for the win, no problem. So it's just a shame we won't get a chance to this time. But at least the car performance was there, so that's always good.
Thank you.
Well, what an eventful last half an hour or so we've had here, with still 90 minutes to go. I'm reminded by a post on the Midweek Motorsport Listeners Collective.
A drive-through penalty for abusing track limits by Ben. Box this lap and drive through the pits. Box this lap, drive through the pits.
Always bad getting a drive through, even worse when it's not you who committed the offence. I'm reminded by a post on the Midweek Motorsport Listeners Collective by His Eminence Cardinal Cormac O'Connell. Says, didn't Aston Martin mention before the start of the season they'd redesigned some of the suspensions on their cars? That's a couple of failures they've had now in the last 2 races. In fairness, it was precipitated by contact both times. Bruno's by a spinning Porsche in Sao Paulo, and Darren just
clouded the curb.
Nailed the pyramid on the apex of the corner.
It's hard to overstate the amount of impact when an Audi drives straight over one and launches the front end of the car about 5, maybe 6 feet in the air. The back end of the car comes at least 2 or 3 feet off the air and then slams back down to the racetrack. That is a major obstacle to run over. Yeah,
that's 2,500 pounds of car. 2,500 pounds of car, 1,000 kilos, completely off the ground, and that is the move.
It took them an awful long time. Sorry.
They've been busy.
Huh?
They've been busy. There's been lots of other things going on. Rebellion in the pit lane from 4th position. Matthias Besch brings that number 12 Toyota-powered Lola Coupe into the pit lane.
Well, I in no way meant that as a criticism. It's just from the times I have watched the races from home, it just normally they make those decisions a little bit faster than that. That's all.
Paul Truswell is watching this race unfold numerically at our data centre back in the UK. Now, we haven't talked about the leaders for a while, but Tom Christensen now has 44 seconds on Sebastian Buemi. The hammer has been put down. Paul, how are you seeing it? And then we'll get Jeremy's view on it in just a few moments' time.
Well, it's kind of reached stalemate again, isn't it? The gap at 44 seconds is fairly consistent. Tom Christensen is going to be due a pit stop in around about 5 laps' time. Coming in probably at the end of his lap 145 would be his schedule, and then we'll see whether or not he stays behind the wheel. They're almost certainly going to change the tyres. Tom's stint certainly a lot quicker this time than his previous stint, but again he doesn't drop into the 49s that often, and I'm reminded of something which Kyle said to me a little while ago, which is that a lot of this is all about risking the car through traffic, and what Loic is very, very good at is getting through the traffic. But I think that maybe Tom is just a little bit more cautious, and he's certainly capable of putting laps in the 49s, but in between he just drops into the 50s or the 51s, and overall that is hurting his average. But at the moment he still does have that advantage. He will be making another pit stop, and the car will then have to make a further pit stop after that on or around lap 169, 170, and we're still going to have another 14 or 15 laps to go at the end of that. Whereas the Toyota will be stopping again twice more, but the second of those stops, it will only be about 10 laps from the flag. So in fact less than 10 laps, it'll be about 7 laps from the flag. So if we have another safety car, then all bets are off. But if we don't have another safety car, the Toyota is going to be able to have a quicker pit stop, because one of the pit stops is going to be a fuel only, and secondly it's also going to have a shorter pit stop because it's not going to have to put so much fuel in on its final stop.
The 57 Krone Racing Ferrari is in the pit lane. The hopes of Texas ride on this car. Shares, we've got a yellow flag at turn 1. I'll find out what that's about while you tell us what's happening down at 57.
The hometown heroes are in the garage. When I asked Maurizio Mediani what was wrong, he said, well, we have to find it first. There's an electrical gremlin of some sort. So the mechanics have taken off the back body panel around the engine, and we're trying to sort that out. But also there's the very distinct mark of a tire rub on the front left bright green portion of the nose, and they actually had to push the bumper back together because it was blowing in such a manner that the wind coming over it must have been messing up the aerodynamics as well. So the 57 looking for some sort of an electrical problem in the back, but no luck so far.
And thanks, Shay. It was the number 8, the second place Sebastian Buemi car, who spun and lost a heap of time, Jim Roller.
That's because Tom Christensen chose that lap to throw down a 1-minute 48.728 lap after consistently running in the 150s. So that's good timing for Tom, bad for the number 8 car and Sebastian Buemi.
Tom Christensen coming alight here in the last 90 minutes or thereabouts. An hour and 24 to go. It's powered by Nissan coverage on RadioLeMans.com and FIAWEC.com. Powered by Nissan coverage on RadioLeMans.com. And don't forget, we have full uninterrupted vision streaming at FIAWEC.com for all World Endurance Championship races wherever you are in the world. Join us for that, our next race in Japan at Fuji. Strange time zones for those of you in Europe, but it works for the rest of the world. Check radiolemans.com for our broadcast details. Jim Roller.
You and I spoke earlier when Christensen got out of the car and he did that inspection of the tires, and then Shea talked to him. He was very upset. I wonder if he got back in this car with a little bit of red mist and feeling he might have a little something to prove that he did have what it takes to put it on the Toyota, and that he was unhappy with the car in that stint, because he certainly has, as Jeremy pointed out, he was faster in that stint, even though he was displeased than Alan, which is unusual. And now he's able to, as Paul said, he's able to pull off a 49 whenever he needs it, and now he's into the 48s.
And I have checked, and there was no difference in any of the tyre combines on the slicks that the guys have been using. So Tom is clearly fired up about something, but he's channeling that frustration, disappointment, whatever it is, anger, into going very quickly. Some better news down at Krone Aviation Racing. Shea, Adam?
The car is back out on the pit lane. They must have found something that made them feel better about the car. Going off of its air jacks right now, off of the trolleys, firing up. Looks like Nick Janssen is still behind the wheel, and indeed he is.
Surely worth a cheer from the Texas crowd that that's back out there.
I think so. Come on, Texas, let's cheer for your hometown here.
Back out onto the circuit.
And it looks like the battle between the Aston Martins in GTM is starting to hot up a little bit, John. Jamie Campbell-Walter is
on the front straight now.
On the front straightaway, and he's being chased by Nicky Thiem, and Nicky has him in sight and is in fact closed down to 1.72 seconds. So the gap is coming down rapidly. Last lap times were similar, but the lap times before that were Thiem was a little bit quicker. Now that may have been because of some traffic as the prototypes come through. Sometimes as they get slowed by the GT cars, sometimes it goes the other way as battles are separated, as other battles move through them.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of emotion behind the 95 car, of course. That's Alan Simonson's car. Yep. Not the car that had the accident at Le Mans. It's a brand new chassis, of course. But that is Alan Simonson's number from the team. As Alan McNish is being prepared. He's been taken out the back and slapped down with raw meat. And I think that's what they do.
I think so. I think so. Paul Newman said he used to beat his drivers about the head and shoulders with the exhaust system to get them fired up. So
you can't get away with that nowadays.
No, you have to use meat. It doesn't leave as many bruises.
That's right. And McNish is ready to take over from Tom Christensen. These two have had a very strong bond of friendship and competition for some time, and Dindo Capello, the third of the three amigos, is here this weekend, as is Emmanuel Pirot. Emmanuel only coming in last night, but Loic Duval has stepped into the formidable shoes of Dindo.
Did he do a handbrake turn into his parking spot and get out and go, ciao?
Who Dindo?
No, Manuel.
Yeah, obviously. Of course. Always. 53.4 seconds at the head of the field, so when Christensen pits, well, I don't think Paul will be able to get this turned around with full service, will he, before the Toyota comes through?
No, the Toyota will go back into the lead, so Sebastian Buemi will take over again at the front. And of course, Sebastian expected to stay on the set of tyres, and he'll stay out until lap 153 or possibly 154. We didn't actually hear from Louise whether Anthony had knowingly gone that extra lap, but he did go an extra lap on his tank full. But anyway, it will be Tom Christensen coming in any minute now, and he'll be handing over to Alan McNish, John.
Yes, this is interesting. A change of protocol. Normally, it goes alphabetically for Audi drivers. You always know, if you know who's got out the car, look on the car, look at the next name alphabetically, either the next one down, or if you're on the bottom one, the guy at the top, and you always know how that's gone. And that's been changed over this time. It hasn't confused Shea Adam, though, she's kept abreast of that. It's a full service, so there's no real hurry for Christensen getting out of there, Shea.
No, there's not, and Christensen K actually does come before McNish, so they might have fixed it earlier in the day, but now everything has been set right. McNish is being belted into the car, and I would imagine he would stay in there for the hour and 18 minutes remaining.
I think it was the Tom part.
Yeah. Well, Air would be on that first. Yeah. The interesting thing about this, Paul, is an hour and 18 minutes. That's not two full runs, is it? As the Toyota goes through and retakes the lead. Sebastian Buemi now back in the lead. That's not a full pull, two full pulls at least for Alan McNish, is it?
No, it's not. There'll be one more stop after this, but it isn't two full stints. Right. What is more significant is the impact that it will have on Toyota, because Toyota have two more stops to come, but their last stop will be a much shorter one than the last stop for Audi, and that could yet be the turning point in the race.
Spin for Fernando Reis, the Brazilian driver, just losing the Corvette number 50 in the S's. And
scattering P2 cars in the process.
Everywhere, yes. I think that was another two Oak cars, actually.
I think one of them was the G-Force. I think it might have been our class leader, the 26 car, which
just got out of the way.
Right in there.
Yeah, let's not get involved in that, as he rightly thought. It's Mike Conway behind the wheel. Meantime, in GT Pro, Fred McAvicky has just put in the Festus first sector for that car in the race. Mako is absolutely on it. And this is in a car that's raced for the better part of 4.5 hours now. In fact, a little over that. And he is still, and a driver who's raced for half of that as well. So, you know, this is pretty good going.
Much like Loic Duval, Fred's really coming into his own this season. He has solidified himself as one of the best GT racers out there, much as Duval has solidified himself as one of the best prototype racers out there. He was brought into the series by Hugh Jashonak, who found him racing in Japan, and brought him into the Orica team that raced at Le Mans and also raced at Sebring, and he was on the winning car at Sebring when Hugh Jashonak claimed that very emotional Sebring victory a few years ago.
Yes, I mean, I think Loic Duval and Hugh Jashonak do go back away, and
he's one of his big benefactors.
He was undoubtedly in that famous Le Mans race at when Peugeots blew themselves up in 2010. He was the quickest of the Peugeot, don't wrong way around, of the Peugeot.
$5. Oh, is that $5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he gets your $5.
Oh, that's right.
He did it the other way around. I'll bring it back for you, Paul. Don't worry.
That's fine.
Paul Trustwell back in the UK, crunching numbers for us. Jeremy Shaw, Jim Roller, John Hindhoff, and Shea Adam in the powered by Nissan pit lane. And in comes the 35. This is the championship leader in P2. Bertrand Baguette brought the car in. And you've got to say they haven't played a smart game this weekend, launching the car into the air and managing to hit their teammate at the same time. Two things that probably weren't on the list of things to do this weekend. And 7th in class as Jeremy, at least I hope that's what he's holding up, 5 fingers on one hand and 2 on the other for.
If he drops any further, Jeremy's going to have to take his shoe off.
Yeah.